Hi, this is Dr. Cindy Trimm, here to empower you for greatness and for you to lead right where you are. Welcome to our webinar, and tonight we're going to talk to you about vision, part two of vision. Vision is perhaps one of the most important, most important spiritual forces that not only shape our entire life, it shapes our entire world. By it, lives are enhanced. By it, purpose is actualized and potential is maximized. Vision is the force that has shaped our world and has fostered the progress that we currently are experiencing as humanity or in humanity. It is responsible for technological advancements. It's responsible for medical and scientific breakthroughs, for community development. Vision is responsible for creating economic monopolies and for all of man's accomplishments. One of the things that Winston Churchill said is, history will be kind to me because I intend to write it. I believe when he was referring to writing history, he perhaps was referring to writing a vision that was dynamic and that will make him a history maker and a change agent. When you write your vision is encompassing the things that you intended to do, those things that God has wired you to do and wired you to accomplish. But again, Winston Churchill was a visionary. He faced a lot of challenges, specifically the impending doom of his nation. And with vision, he defied odds that were stacked up against him, and he turned the tides of World War II. One of the things I found out about vision is that it can turn the tides in your personal life. When you are talking about turning the tides in your personal life, I'm actually talking about you going from failure to success with vision. You can go from poverty to prosperity with vision. You can take your business from a mom and pop setup to being a Wall Street friendly, globally scalable Fortune 100 or Fortune 500 just with vision. Visionaries are people who are able to envision what life could be, not what life is, but what life could be. They are forward thinkers, and they usually live with little or no regrets. They push the envelopes. They go out on a limb, and then they demand that limb breaks. They ignore the present in order to shape or reshape the futures. They are individuals that possess an enormous amount of faith in their God-given ability, their faith in God, their faith even in the people that are around them, that collectively they have the ability to change the way that we live and we do life as human beings. Visionaries are people who are not only predicting the future, they actually provoke the future. So we were talking about writing a vision for your life, or scripting, or actually sculpting and creating a dynamic vision. And writing a vision is the first step that you're going to take to remove the self-imposed limitations and lids from your life. There is more to life than just the life that most people have settled for. So success and prosperity is out there, and usually the visionaries, they experience a tremendous amount of success, a tremendous amount of prosperity. And that success and prosperity is not out there just for those individuals who are born with a particular pedigree or who has spent money to get a degree, but it's out there waiting for anyone that has a vision for their lives. Writing a vision is important. And in the first part of this series, I talked about being able to write a vision in 12 specific areas. When you write a vision, the 12 areas include, and I want to give you an opportunity to get your notepad. Those of you that are writing, take copious notes. I want to give you an opportunity to run from where you are right now. Get you a notepad, a pen. Those of you that are using your iPad or you're using your computer, I want to give you an opportunity to run so that you can write these 12 areas areas. And then tonight we're going to focus on one of these areas. And then each time we come back for the webinar, I'm going to excavate each one of these 12 and do deep dive so that you can really understand as you're writing vision what that looks like and what that feels like. 2 weeks ago, we were beaming live from Bermuda. We were sitting against the backdrop of a beautiful waterscape. And we were talking about how we were listening to the whistling frogs and how we were sitting overlooking a harbor. It was absolutely gorgeous. But today I'm beaming live from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. And one of the things that I love about webinars is this, that I'm able to do life with you. I remember about maybe 20 years ago, I had a group of people with me and I said, I just envision myself talking to thousands of people from around the world with my bunny rabbit slippers on. And I said, you know, I'm going to be dressed up sharp from the neck down as far as they can see. Then I'm going to have my pajama bottoms on and my bunny rabbit slippers. And I'm going to be able to talk to thousands and millions of people from the comfort of my home or the comfort of my hotel. And guess what? That was 20 years ago. Here it is today, 2016. I'm in our nation's capital in a hotel. And guess what? I look amazing from the neck up. And on my bottoms, guess what I have on? Pajamas and bunny rabbit slippers. And that all started with a vision. And so when you write a vision, this is not just shooting from the hips. This is really God showing you your future in bite-sized pieces. It's coming attraction, isn't it? But when you write your vision, you don't want to write it as if it's just one big document. You want to break that vision down into 12 specific areas. And so 2 weeks ago, and we gave you an outline of those 12 areas. I want to do it one more time for those that of you that are new. Firstly, when you write your vision, here are the 12 areas that you must write your vision in. Number one, your personal brand, your personal passion, and your personal preference. And that is one. That's number one. Your personal brand. You can either call it your personal brand or your passion or your preference. But your personal brand will include your passion, your purpose, and your passion. And when you write this, you are not considering anyone in this particular section, in this category. You are moving everyone else's ideas of what you should do, their expectations, the roles that you play, the title that you have. You're stripping yourself down to 3 specific focuses under personal brand, and that is your personal passion, your preferences, and your purpose. So the first category, once again, is personal brand. The second category is companionship. And this is where we talk about marriage, the type of spouse that you want or you want to live with. And those of you that have been married 10, 15, 20 years, don't worry. This is going to be very, very vital and important for you. And those that are single, this is going to be just as important. Number 3, family. You need to write a vision for your family, both the immediate as well as your extended family. Number 4, you have to have within your vision a category that I call personal growth and development. How are you going to grow personally and how are you going to develop? And then number 5, your career/calling. And I put both because there are some people that are in ministry and your ministry is actually your career choice, but it's also your calling. And then there are others that are in industry specific professions. And we're going to look at all of them from a broad perspective. And then number 6, you've got to have a vision for your friends and your colleagues. And just because people are attracted to you, it doesn't mean that you have to be attracted to them. And number 7, your networks. your alliances, and your partnerships. And you need to really be specific. Who do you need to be around? Who needs to be around you? And one of the things that I've always said about networks and alliances and partnerships, that's number 7. And number 6, your friends and colleagues. You've got to be specific about it. You've got to be able, when you write out number 6 and number 7, to be very specific. And here's a caveat, even long before we get there. You've got to be able to ask yourself this question: how can I add value or increase the equity of my network, and how can I increase the equity of my friends and colleagues? And then number 8, the other thing that we need to consider is this: recreation and renewal. Very important. How do you decompress? That's number 8. Number 9 is spiritual growth and development. And this is vitally important. When we talk about spiritual growth and development, is one thing to talk about personal growth and development, but then you're not just a physical being, you're also a spiritual being. And so how are you going to nurture your spirit? How are you going to nurture your soul? And then number 10 is financial stability. And number 10 and number 11, I promise you I can count. So after number 10 is 11, and that's your health, wellness, and fitness. And then number 12, legacy. How are people going to know that there once was a woman that lived by the name of Cindy Trimm? And what am I going to bequeath to the next generation? So let's look at number 1, or category, nomenclature. Number 1, personal brand. Your personal brand, positioning, your passion, your purpose, and your preference. When you are creating a vision, creating a great vision actually starts with identifying your highest aspirations, your dreams, your goals, and your desire for accomplishment, so that every step that you take, every decision that you make, and every opportunity you seize moves in a specific direction. Very few people have taken into consideration the power of a personal brand, and that includes your name, that includes your reputation, which is tantamount to success and prosperity. We often think of products from that perspective. When we talk about brand or branding, we very seldom think about ourselves as being a brand. But when we talk about preference and purpose, we're talking about your personal brand. We usually don't think about the value of a good name as it relates to realizing our goals in life. So as you write your vision, the first area you need to focus on is this area, your personal preference or your personal brand. And once you begin to exercise or engage in this exercise, you're going to find out that these are going to be your motivators. And it's going to be the first step that you actually take to remove self-imposed limitations and lids. There is more to life than just the one you have settled for. If you are serious about your life, you will be serious about crafting a vision for your life. One of the mistakes that some people make when they're writing their vision is to figure out what they really, really want, separate and apart from what others really want for them and really want from them and expect from them. This means that you have to forego, when you write this part, you've got to forego considering titles, and you've got to forget the roles that you play at this point. That's going to come up later in writing a vision for your life. But for this particular exercise, I'm suggesting that you just park your titles and your roles and the current things that you are doing now. And one of the things that I want you to engage in is a SWOT analysis. Now, those of you that are in business, or those of you that are in some sort of C-suite position, a CIO, CFO, COO, those of you that are in management position, you're going to recognize the SWOT, S-W-O-T. You've probably heard about this in business. It's a part of what businesses do. They use the SWOT analysis as an integral part of their strategic business planning. So very few people know that you can use the similar strategy strategy for their personal lives. You can do the work of analyzing your strength, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and threats. So you probably figured out by now that when we talk about SWOT, that's an acronym. S for strengths, W for weakness, O for opportunities, and T for threats. And just like we're able to do it with businesses, you can do it for yourself as an individual. This exercise is actually going to help you to discover hidden, overlooked personal potential, undeveloped talents, unutilized gifts that you can employ, or it can be employed, exploited, and leveraged for the ultimate fulfillment of your vision. And also when we talk about a SWOT analysis, it's going to help you to execute your mission, your personal mission, and realize your dreams. So in business, a SWOT analysis is the tool that identifies, again, the strengths, the weakness, the opportunities, and the threats of an organization. So specifically, SWOT is a basic, straightforward model that assesses what an organization can and cannot do, as well as its potential opportunities and threats. So the method of SWOT analysis is to take the information from an environmental analysis and separate it into internal and external, intrinsic and extrinsic. So the internal will be the strengths and the weaknesses, and then the external will be the opportunities and threats. So that means that you're using your critical analytical business or analytical part of your mind. So you're using your critical thinking, and you're using that as you begin to try to figure out, okay, what do I really want? So we're not talking about something that is emotional. We're talking about something that is very, very concrete as you craft a vision for your life. So once you begin to engage in writing your own SWOT analysis, the SWOT analysis is going to help you to determine what is important for you. And that SWOT analysis determines what may assist you in accomplishing your vision, your dreams, your goals, your objectives, and the obstacles that you have to overcome or minimize in order to achieve your desired results. So this is some heavy lifting. This means that you've got to go into the truth realm and begin to objectively look at your life. This SWOT analysis starts with you asking yourself one question: who am I? And so when people call your name, what image comes into a person's mind? And if it's not the image that you want, that means that you have some adjustments that you have to make. So you've got to be able to sit and meticulously ponder on your dreams and your desires that are exclusively yours. You are your own brand, and you've got to be able to sweat the equity in your personal brand. And in order to do that, you've got to be able to do a SWOT analysis on yourself. So let's look at the first part of SWOT, which is an acronym for strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That first S is your strengths. And so when we consider your strengths, let's think about it. We're thinking about the characteristics that gives you an advantage over everyone else. What is unique about you? What is your value added proposition? And how does it differentiate from your competitor? What do others perceive as your strength? What is your value added proposition as an individual? What are your standout characteristics? What are those? And you've got to be able to list it. This is my standout characteristic. From a child, one of my standout characteristics is that I talked a lot. And guess what? That had to do with what was my God-given drive, and that is to educate individuals. And I can't stand up and educate individuals and not say something. So my standout characteristic, this is on a personal level, was my ability to communicate, to talk. The next thing, I had a standout characteristic. I was very, very focused. Nothing shook my focus. And then, as far back as I can remember, my siblings tell me, Cindy, you were always very positive. So having a positive attitude is a standout characteristic. Now, we're talking about your value-added proposition, your strengths. What drives you? What is your driving force? What are you passionate about? How do you see yourself as a human being? What is your personal mission statement? What are your core values? Let's go back to the personal vision mission statement. Mine is very simple, and that is to empower people to fulfill purpose and maximize potential. I mean, it's a simple mission statement, but that's basically what I do. And I do it either through speaking or in written form and in audio visual forms. And in writing my books, I had to figure out why am I writing these books? And my mission really was to empower people to fulfill purpose and maximize potential. And I did it through storytelling. For me, storytelling was about inspiring people to greatness and for them to realize their purpose and to maximize their potential. And so, again, my mission was very, very, very clear, and that's all I do. Now, here's a couple of other questions when we talk about your strengths. What are your core values? Or I like to refer them as non-negotiables. Those things that you never, ever will compromise, your non-negotiables. I believe in work ethics, so I don't need anyone to supervise me. I get up, I work harder than I did when I was employed by someone else, but heavy work ethics. And I push for excellence. These are my non-negotiables. I really, when I don't perform at a high level, according to my standards, and my standards are extremely, extremely high, I get disappointed with myself. Even if people's incredible job, if I was able to do better than I did yesterday, it affects me very, very deeply. When it comes to non-negotiables, it is vitally important